From where are you watching this? Share your city in the comments. This is a historic moment, and we want to know from where the entire world is witnessing Jerusalem. The air in Jerusalem feels different today. Thousands gather at the Western Wall, their faces reflecting anticipation and reverence. The ancient stones bear witness once again. History and prophecy converge on this Day of Atonement. Yom Kippur, 2025. A date inscribed in heaven's calendar long before our time. The faithful have traveled from distant lands, crossing oceans and continents to be present. They sense it. This is not merely another holy day. This is appointment with destiny. The prophetic timeline advances with each passing moment. You are not watching history. You are witnessing prophecy unfolding before your eyes. The atmosphere is charged with expectation. Each prayer whispered against these ancient stones carries the weight of millennia. Pilgrims stand shoulder to shoulder, their differences dissolved in shared reverence. Orthodox elders sway in fervent prayer beside young families experiencing their first Yom Kippur in the Holy City. The Western Wall Plaza, normally spacious, now holds a sea of humanity. From above, they appear as countless grains of sand, fulfillment of the promise to Abraham. Look toward heaven and count the stars, if you are able to count them. So shall your descendants be. That ancient promise manifests before us. The ingathering continues even now, as planes land at Ben Gurion Airport, bringing more pilgrims hour by hour. They come sensing something momentous approaches. Something beyond ordinary religious observance. The very stones of Jerusalem seem to anticipate revelation. The call echoes through the old city's narrow streets. Shopkeepers close their doors. Traffic ceases across the nation. Even the air seems to pause in reverence. Israel transforms into a sanctuary of silence. The sacred day has arrived. Prophets of old spoke of these times when nations would turn their eyes toward Jerusalem, when the ancient customs would find new meaning, when heaven and earth would lean closer together. The words written millennia ago now breathe with fresh relevance. This moment was foretold. The gathering of the dispersed, the restoration of ancient ways, the awakening of spiritual hunger across nations. Scripture comes alive today, not as distant text, but as living reality unfolding before the world. The announcement reverberates from synagogues and prayer houses. Radio stations broadcast the solemn declaration. Digital screens throughout Jerusalem display the sacred calendar. Today is the Day of Atonement. The holiest day in Judaism has arrived, yet this year carries unprecedented significance. International observers note unusual convergence of events, diplomatic developments, astronomical alignments, archaeological discoveries confirming biblical narratives. Even skeptics acknowledge the remarkable timing. Something has shifted in the spiritual atmosphere. The veil between temporal and eternal thins perceptibly. Those with spiritual sensitivity recognize the moment. This is the hour spoken of by prophets. This is the time foreseen by ancient seers. This is the juncture where divine purpose intersects human history with unmistakable clarity. The call has gone forth. The response comes from every corner of the earth. What you witness today connects directly to words spoken by Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, prophets who saw beyond their time into ours. Their scrolls, carefully preserved through centuries of exile and return, speak to this precise moment. The prophet Joel declared, "Blow the shofar in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly." These words materialize before us, not as historical artifacts, but as present directive. The ancient and modern intertwine inseparably. Jerusalem stands once again at the crossroads of divine narrative. The city that has witnessed empires rise and fall now witnesses another chapter in the eternal story. Prophecies once sealed and mysterious now open before us with startling clarity. Daniel was told to shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. That seal breaks in our generation. Understanding increases precisely as foretold. Scholars who devoted lifetimes to prophetic texts watch in wonder as abstract passages transform into concrete events. The prophet Amos declared, "Surely the Lord God does nothing unless he reveals his secret to his servants, the prophets." Those secrets, long preserved in sacred text, now manifest in visible reality. The puzzle pieces align. The prophetic landscape comes into focus. Passages once considered metaphorical reveal their literal fulfillment. Words preserved through centuries of persecution and diaspora find their target moment. This very day, this very hour, this appointed time on the divine calendar when heaven's purposes advance with undeniable precision. It happens now, not in some distant future, not in a metaphorical sense, but literally, physically, tangibly, in this moment. The prayers ascending from Jerusalem today carry the weight of generations. The fasting observed connects modern worshippers to their ancestors who stood on these same stones. Prophecy unfolds in real time. The cameras capture what seers of old could only envision. Technology broadcasts what prophets could only proclaim. This convergence of ancient promise and present reality stirs something profound in witnesses worldwide. The world watches Jerusalem because something elemental draws human attention to this epicenter of spiritual gravity. The divine calendar aligns with human history today. The present moment trembles with significance. Each minute passes pregnant with purpose. The hours of this sacred day tick by not as ordinary time, but as prophetic fulfillment. Rabbis who studied ancient texts their entire lives stand amazed at the precision of fulfillment. Scholars who analyze prophetic timelines watch as calculations materialize into events. The mysteries hidden for generations reveal themselves in this present hour. What previous generations could only anticipate, we experience. What ancient prophets could only foresee, we behold. The day approaches its zenith. The fast deepens. The prayers intensify. The spiritual atmosphere grows increasingly charged. Heaven draws near to earth. Divine purpose intersects human experience. The unseen becomes almost visible. The intangible becomes nearly palpable. This is happening now. The moment when prophecy transitions from future to present, from anticipation to experience. Listen to the voices at the wall. An elderly Holocaust survivor prays beside a young soldier. A recent immigrant from Ethiopia stands shoulder to shoulder with a family from Brooklyn. Russians, Brazilians, Australians, South Africans. The ingathering prophesied for millennia manifests before our eyes. They recite identical prayers despite their diverse origins. They fast with unified purpose despite their different journeys. The prophecy of Jeremiah resonates. I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coasts of the earth. Words written over 2,600 years ago describe precisely what your eyes behold today. The scattered becoming unified. The divided becoming whole. Listen closely to the languages blending in harmonious prayer. Hebrew predominates, but dozens of tongues rise simultaneously. Arabic prayers mingle with Russian whispers. Spanish supplications join with Chinese entreaties. French and German, Hindi and Swahili, the confusion of Babel reversed in this sacred chorus. Ezekiel foresaw this moment. I will take you from among the nations, gather you out of all countries, and bring you into your own land. That prophecy materializes in living color. The faces represent every continent, every ethnicity. Former enemies pray peacefully side by side. Historical adversaries find unity in shared reverence. Political divisions dissolve in spiritual communion. The human mosaic assembled at the Western Wall today fulfills what the prophets described in astonishing detail. A people once scattered to the ends of the earth, now regathered. A nation once divided, now reunified. A language once nearly extinct, now revived and spoken by millions. These are not coincidences, but coordinated divine actions bringing prophetic words to visible fulfillment. The shofar is raised. The ram's horn, ancient instrument of divine announcement, curves upward toward heaven. The Tekiah, long and unwavering, pierces the silence. The Shevarim follows, three broken sounds symbolizing weeping. Then Teruah, 9 staccato blasts signaling alarm and awakening. Finally, Tekiah Gedolah, the great blast, sustained until the final breath empties from human lungs. This sound has echoed through Jewish history for over 3,000 years. It announced the year of Jubilee. It accompanied the giving of Torah at Sinai. It heralded coronations and military victories. Today, it signals something equally momentous, a spiritual awakening prophesied for the end of days. The sound penetrates beyond physical hearing into spiritual perception. The shofar's call reaches beyond Jerusalem's boundaries. Satellite technology carries it to the furthest corners of the earth. In living rooms across continents, the ancient sound reverberates. In hospitals and nursing homes, the elderly recognize its significance. In universities and schools, the young sense its relevance to their future. The blast transcends religious boundaries. Christians recognize its apocalyptic echoes. Muslims pause at its prophetic implications. Even secular observers acknowledge its historical weight. The sound that once brought down Jericho's walls now penetrates barriers of skepticism and indifference. Something primal stirs in human consciousness at this ancient call. Something deeply embedded in spiritual DNA recognizes this signal. The shofar speaks a language older than words, the language of divine human communication established at creation. Its sound travels beyond audible frequencies into realms of spiritual awareness. Those physically distant feel its vibration in their spirit. Those historically disconnected sense its relevance to their future. The great shofar promised by Isaiah now sounds. The great shofar will be blown, and those who were lost in the land of Assyria and those who were exiled in the land of Egypt will come and worship the Lord on the holy mountain in Jerusalem. Remember the journey to this moment, the destruction of the temple in 70 CE, the dispersion across nations, centuries of persecution culminating in the Holocaust, the miraculous rebirth of Israel in 1948, the reunification of Jerusalem in 1967, the ingathering of exiles from over 100 nations. These are not random historical events, but coordinated divine movements, each step precisely aligned with prophetic writings, each development bringing us closer to this present moment. Our ancestors prayed for millennia facing this city. They concluded Passover Seders with next year in Jerusalem. Their longing becomes our reality. Their prayers materialize in our presence. Their faith vindicated in our witnessing. Consider the statistical impossibility of Israel's restoration. No other ancient nation disappeared for centuries, then returned to its original homeland, speaking its original language. No other people maintained distinct identity without homeland for 2 millennia. No other national restoration aligned so precisely with ancient prophecies written thousands of years before. Jeremiah foresaw the exact sequence: first return to the land, then spiritual renewal. Ezekiel prophesied the precise order: physical regathering followed by spiritual awakening. Isaiah described the very progression we witness: Jerusalem's restoration preceding global spiritual transformation. Zechariah detailed the centrality Jerusalem would assume in world affairs. Every prophet who addressed Israel's future described what our eyes now behold. The mathematical probability of these precise fulfillments occurring by chance defies calculation. The evidence overwhelms objective analysis. We witness not coincidence, but culmination, not random events, but divine orchestration. The timeline established by prophets finds its fulfillment in our generation. Feel the spiritual weight descending upon this gathering. Something transcendent occurs beyond what cameras can capture. Ancient words describe this moment: I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Hardened hearts soften, skeptical minds open. Spiritual hunger awakens across continents. This is more than religious observance. This is divine encounter. The veil between heaven and earth grows thin. Those physically present sense it tangibly. Those watching remotely perceive it intuitively. The Day of Atonement reveals its deepest purpose, reconciliation between humanity and Creator, between past and future, between brokenness and restoration. The spiritual atmosphere shifts not just over Jerusalem, but globally. Reports flow in from distant locations. Spontaneous prayer gatherings emerge in cities worldwide. Unusual unity manifests among historically divided religious groups. Ancient animosities dissolve in shared spiritual awareness. The prophet Zechariah foresaw this phenomenon. In that day I will pour on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and supplication. That outpouring extends beyond geographical boundaries. Spiritual sensitivity heightens across diverse populations. Dreams and visions increase, as Joel predicted. Intuitive understanding of ancient texts awakens in unexpected demographics. Children articulate profound spiritual insights. Elderly remember long-forgotten prophecies. The spiritually indifferent find themselves inexplicably drawn to eternal questions. This atmospheric change transcends psychological explanation. It surpasses sociological analysis. It exceeds historical precedent. The tangible presence described by ancient prophets manifests in measurable impact. Scientific instruments detect unexplainable phenomena. Medical professionals observe inexplicable healings. Psychological researchers document unprecedented peace experiences. The prophecies of spiritual transformation materialize in documented reality. What does this moment signify? Why does it resonate so deeply within human consciousness? The prophets spoke of signs in the heavens and on earth. They foretold days when ancient patterns would find fulfillment, when scattered pieces would form coherent picture. We stand at such a juncture, the aligning of celestial bodies, the convergence of historical timelines, the unification of divided peoples, the restoration of forgotten practices, all point to divine orchestration. All confirm the reliability of prophetic vision. All suggest we have entered a new phase in the unfolding scroll of human destiny. The significance extends beyond religious observance into cosmic realignment. Consider the implications beyond this single day. The prophets describe this moment as threshold rather than destination, as catalyst rather than conclusion. They speak of this day as signpost pointing toward greater fulfillment, as doorway opening to expanded revelation. The ancient sages compared prophecy to puzzle with pieces scattered across centuries. Today, critical connections form. Essential patterns emerge. The image clarifies with unprecedented definition. Even secular historians acknowledge the remarkable convergence of events. Scientific minds note the statistical improbability of such precise alignments. Political analysts observe the unique centrality Jerusalem has assumed in global affairs, exactly as prophesied. Archaeological discoveries continue confirming biblical narratives with increasing frequency. Technological developments enable fulfillments impossible in previous generations. Medical breakthroughs align with prophetic descriptions of end-time conditions. Environmental developments mirror apocalyptic literature with startling precision. The significance transcends religious interpretation. The implications extend beyond theological framework. The moment speaks to fundamental questions of human existence and cosmic purpose. This day marks not conclusion, but continuation, not endpoint, but threshold. The prophet spoke of sequential events unfolding like scroll, gradually revealing its contents. Today represents crucial paragraph, but not final sentence. The narrative continues. The divine author writes subsequent chapters even as we witness current scenes. Tomorrow brings new developments. Next month reveals further fulfillment. Coming years accelerate prophetic timeline. We stand not at culmination, but at critical juncture. The shofar's sound announces transition, not termination. It heralds new beginning, not final end. It calls believers to heightened alertness, not concluded mission. The story advances with increasing momentum. Ancient prophecies describe this day as pivotal rather than final, as essential connection in continuing chain, as crucial foundation for future developments. The Day of Atonement 2025 will be remembered as watershed moment when spiritual trajectories altered decisively, when prophetic fulfillment accelerated visibly, when divine purpose advanced unmistakably. Yet this represents beginning rather than end, commencement rather than conclusion. The prophets describe subsequent events building upon this foundation, further fulfillments emerging from this cornerstone, additional manifestations flowing from this source. Those watching today participate in unfolding narrative that continues tomorrow, that advances next week, that progresses next year. The prophetic writings describe not isolated event, but connected sequence. Not single fulfillment, but progressive revelation. Not momentary phenomenon, but sustained development. What begins today continues tomorrow with heightened momentum. The spiritual awakening initiated expands with increasing impact. The prophetic fulfillment demonstrated accelerates with growing evidence. The global impact cannot be overstated. From prayer gatherings in Seoul to watch parties in São Paulo, from university discussions in Oxford to family conversations in Melbourne, Jerusalem's moment reverberates across continents. News networks position cameras throughout the city. Social media platforms overflow with images and reflections. Academic institutions analyze implications. Religious communities interpret significance, the prophecy fulfilled. Jerusalem will be a burdensome stone for all peoples. The world cannot look away because Jerusalem's story encompasses all humanity's story. The particular becomes universal. The Jewish experience becomes global revelation. Nations indeed stream to this mountain as ancient texts foretold. Communication technologies enable unprecedented global participation. Satellite transmissions carry Jerusalem's moment to remote villages. Internet connections bring the Western Wall to isolated communities. Translation services overcome language barriers instantaneously. The prophet's vision materializes through modern technology. Many peoples and strong nations shall come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem. That internationalization manifests visibly today. Diplomats from distant nations observe respectfully. Religious leaders from diverse traditions witness attentively. Cultural representatives from varied civilizations participate reverently. The eyes of the world focus on this ancient city precisely as prophesied. Political analysts note Jerusalem's unique centrality in international affairs. Economic experts observe its disproportionate significance in global considerations. Military strategists acknowledge its unparalleled importance in geopolitical calculations. The prophetic description of Jerusalem as cup of trembling for surrounding nations finds literal fulfillment. Its spiritual gravity affects global dynamics with measurable impact. Its prophetic significance influences international decisions with documented effect. The world watches not merely out of curiosity, but compelled by spiritual magnetism that transcends rational explanation. This moment passes into history, but leaves indelible mark on spiritual landscape. What transpired today alters trajectories tomorrow. The shofar's echo continues long after its sound fades. The prayers offered reverberate through spiritual realms indefinitely. You witnessed threshold crossing. You observed prophecy materializing. You participated in divine-human intersection. Carry this awareness forward. Share this testimony with future generations. Document this moment for those who follow. The ancient prophet declared, "Write the vision, make it plain, that he may run who reads it." This account serves that purpose. This broadcast fulfills that mandate. This gathering honors that directive. The unfolding continues. The watchful remain alert. The story advances toward its ultimate fulfillment. Future historians will identify this day as pivotal. Subsequent generations will recognize its significance. Children yet unborn will study its implications. The prophetic writers foresaw this reality and recorded advance notice for our benefit. Their ancient words find contemporary fulfillment in events we now witness. Their distant vision materializes in present experience we now share. Their faithfulness in recording divine revelation enables our recognition of sacred moment. We stand as beneficiaries of their obedience, as recipients of their legacy, as witnesses to the reliability of their prophecies. This day joins the chronicle of divine-human interaction that spans millennia. It adds crucial chapter to ongoing narrative of redemptive history. It contributes essential paragraph to unfolding story of cosmic restoration. The shofar that sounded today joins the eternal symphony that began at creation and continues toward final consummation. Its echo joins the chorus of divine announcements that spans generations. Its call adds to the accumulated testimony of heaven's engagement with humanity's journey. What your eyes have seen, remember. What your ears have heard, preserve. What your heart has understood, treasure. For you have witnessed prophecy becoming present tense,